So, hello and good evening from India. Good morning and good afternoon from the other places on the planet. Happy to resume Sundays with Arun after a long gap, maybe 8 to 9 months. And thank you for all of you who are joining today live. First time we're going live on YouTube as well. So, yes. Where should we begin? We can begin by everyone switching on their cameras if you can. Hemant is quite brave. Even though he's in a car, he's keeping his camera on. I like that. Yeah. iPhone, can you change your name so that I don't call you iPhone? Can you change your name so that I can call you by some other name, not iPhone? Or you can give me your name, I'll change it here. Loga. Okay, so what should we speak about this afternoon? I recognize most of you. What should we speak about? What would you like to talk about today? Sundays with Arun resuming after a gap of many, many months. What would you like to discuss? I know that each one of you have been talking to me separately about many things.
Gyan on more on the life rather, it's always nice to hear it again and again because that makes you kind of gets into your mind more often than not.
Okay, but what about specifically about life? Life is a vast subject. Udit, can you let the people in?
Done.
Yeah. So what about life? So, like
Let us talk of joys of life. Let us talk something light and not very philosophical.
Hmm.
How to find joys in small things.
Yeah, let's get deeper into the subject. It assumes that your question assumes that things are serious out there in Mumbai.
I think
And
human
that,
life is serious.
and that you want to talk about something light because Bombay is pretty heavy. Usually it takes about 5 to 10 minutes for the room to warm up. I'm waiting for the warmth to set in.
Good evening, sir. I'm Akila.
Yes, your name is there and you look like Akhila also.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Sometimes the names and the faces don't match. Have you noticed that?
I have not noticed that. Sometimes, yeah, when we hear the name, we imagine the face to be sometimes
That's right.
in
That's
some
what I'm doing.
manner, but in actual, it may not be this. So,
Yeah, it is a common thing to look at the person and say, "Oh, Vaishali," but I thought her name is Chitra. She looks like Chitra, but her name is Vaishali.
Do I look like Hemant?
No, you don't look like Hemant. You look like Kishore Kumar.
चलो ठीक है गाना सुनाने मत बोलिएगा
नहीं, इसीलिए तो गलती नहीं कर रहा हूं मैं. So, to the international participants, sometimes we'll flip into Hindi sometimes, but we will get very quickly back into English. And those who have a problem with English will have to use some translators, Google Translator or something like that. So Loga says, how to get freedom from thoughts.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Libby. One way is, it's an interesting question. Loga says on chat, how can we get freedom from thoughts? Anybody has an idea? How can we get freedom from thoughts? Loga has got straight to the point. मतलब मेन मुद्दे पे सीधा पहुंच गए हैं, लाइक अ ट्रू अमेरिकन.
चित्तवृत्ति निरोधः.
How to get freedom from thoughts? Anybody has an idea?
But just to interject here, don't you think the human mind is made to think,
So that is a
Not-
question. So that's
not
a
get
question.
free from it?
So that's the question that I'm asking the audience. Do we have an answer to Loga's question?
So can I answer in
Yes,
short?
anybody can answer. It's everybody. Yes.
So there are thoughts. So for some course of action where the thought process is needed, there we definitely use the thought process and we think. But there are some daily thoughts which are on the autopilot mode, which we need to keep checking all the time. Otherwise, that keeps on going, and that becomes our subconscious state, and that's how we often drive our lives.
We've all fallen asleep listening to your answer. And Loga is not impressed at all. He wants freedom from thoughts. He doesn't want two different thoughts. He wants freedom from both the thoughts. He didn't say one thought and the other thought. He's saying, I want freedom from thoughts.
Engage yourself in physical activity.
Mindlessly,
Yes,
without thoughts.
maybe not mindlessly. Activity
If you
which
are,
you may
if you are,
enjoy.
but if you are putting the mind, then Loga is saying you have thoughts.
You do gardening, your mind will be diverted to gardening, not your
So
thoughts.
he's saying he wants freedom from the thinking about gardening also.
Okay.
Sir,
That I
thoughts
do.
can never go.
Thoughts can never go. Loga, very disappointing group. They are saying thoughts can never go.
But why should we have freedom from thoughts, sir?
Don't fight with him now. He's just asking a question. Now you're fighting with him. You're saying why Loga is saying freedom from thoughts. Huh? He's just asking a question now. Don't debate the question.
Yes, sir.
So Veena in our YouTube, amongst our YouTube audience is saying doing some pranayam. Doing some pranayam also involves thoughts, isn't it? You have to think about doing pranayam and then only you can do pranayam. So now Amol is really thinking how to be free from this thinking. How to really be free from this thinking. Swagatika has a nice question. How to make kids more responsible at home? At home, more responsible, aware of their own parts of life. This is a very good point very good topic to take up. How to make kids take up more responsibility. Getting free from thoughts is impossible. Rehan has directly got into the point. Maybe by diverting your thoughts. Well, if you divert your thoughts, you're still having diverted thoughts. So for Loga and for everybody else to just think about for a moment, you can be free from thoughts if you are dead. How about that, Loga? All these people are thinking while being alive, you want to be free from thoughts. They are trying to answer your question. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're no more, then you have no more thoughts, right? You're free from
Thoughts.
thought. But people, all of us, a little, we feel a little awkward uh, when we talk about death and the thought of passing and so on. So once again, welcome to all the people who are joining our both our YouTube and Zoom broadcast today live. We are doing something called Sundays with Arun. Arun, that's me. For those of you who haven't met me personally or met me before. And we've been doing Sundays with Arun the whole of last year. We missed out about 5-6 months of this regular gathering. It's a forum to just sit down and talk to each other about various things that affect us in our life. And I want to let everybody who's here in the room know that we're not going anywhere. We're not seeking any profound answers. There's not a discussion about philosophy. We're looking at some real stuff like fitness, health, or any other question that we have about life, where we have many questions about life itself, but we don't have a place where we can discuss it. Not amongst our friends, not with our family, not even when we go to temple or church. We have a place. For various reasons, we go to different places, but we don't have a place where we can discuss matters which really affect us. And I'm one of the people who run the Shivananda program in Gurgaon, a yoga center, Shivananda Yoga Center in Gurgaon. And of course, I'm the founder director as well. I spent 35 years in the practice of yoga and as well as the teaching. And this meeting, this forum is based on the fundamentals of yoga and all that we call yoga, traditional ways of living, ancient wisdom, and common sense. When Loga asks the question, for example, very innocently, how can we be free from thoughts? The first thought that comes to me is that to be free from thoughts, I have to die. Correct me if I'm wrong, ladies and gentlemen. But does this answer fit the question or not? That we can be free from thoughts only if we are no more. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
You can be free from thoughts only in the coffin.
We can stop coughing and go into the coffin. Yeah. Okay. So Archana says wanting to be free from thoughts is a misguided aspiration. What most people have an issue with is not thought but compulsive thinking. So Archana is right. Doing sadhana every day to get to the point where we can be a witness to our thoughts without judging it, unpleasant, pleasant, unpleasant, right and wrong, eventually creates a distance between one and their mind. The mind can be used as a tool as required. So the second part, Archana, the question is doing sadhana every day. Now there comes the practical problem. The question is, Archana, how can we have sadhana every day? That's the question. You see, I want to, the first, how it is. On 1st of January, everybody makes a resolution. Archana? How long does the New Year resolution last? About 30 minutes. I will not have a cup of coffee ever again in my life. That's your resolution at midnight on 31st of December. By the time it is 7 o'clock in the morning and you're getting up, you say, it's okay. It's the 1st of January. Forget about this sadhana. Tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow I will stop drinking coffee. On 1st of January, who stops drinking coffee? The first part is right, that the thoughts are not troubling Loga. Unwanted thoughts are troubling Loga. So he doesn't want to eradicate all the thoughts. He doesn't want to have freedom from thoughts. He wants to have freedom from thinking about thoughts. So many different thoughts are happening. Only some thoughts are necessary. So Akhila is right in a way that if you're busy, you heard the old commandment, an empty mind makes the maximum sound. Something like that. So the more idle you are, the more noisy your mind is. And traditionally, for thousands of years, people have said, divert your mind. And we don't need to go all the way to the point what Archana said. Go to Everest Base Camp. From there, climb all the way up to the top of Everest. Sit inside a small cave and don't think of anything. Do this every day. That's quite difficult, I think. We can start with something smaller like gardening, as Akhila said, or cooking, or even raising children. That keeps you very busy, and your mind very busy. Welcome, Suresh. How come you got late coming into the room?
Sorry, I was working on my garden in Kerala and I lost track of time. I apologize. My mistake.
Yeah.
And it was raining so heavily, we were just running in and out of the rain, planting some stuff which we had gotten for the garden today. So,
Coincidentally, Akhila from your part of town suggested that gardening is the best way to keep your mind busy and not to have unwanted thoughts. Approximately that much she said. To Loga's question, which was how to keep your mind, no, how to get freedom from your mind, how to get freedom from your thoughts. Sorry, that's the way it is. So there is a comment on YouTube. It says, and this is Srisha. Yeah, I'm hoping that the comment is about freedom from thoughts. It's doing pranayama and meditation every day. The question is, how do you get your mind to get down to doing all these things? So here is a thought that I want to throw into the room and to my YouTube audience. How come it's only as adults that we start thinking about the mind and thoughts? How come as children we are not taught about thoughts and thinking and the mind? How come as children we don't discuss thoughts, we don't discuss mind? How come we only discuss body, and that also in a very limited manner? Have you thought of that? That in school and college we don't discuss the mind at all. We don't discuss thinking. So that when we come to adult life, we imagine that we can have some understanding of how to train the mind, how to train our thoughts. How many of you struggle with your mind? How many of you struggle with your thoughts? Those who are on Zoom can raise their hand. Some of you have passed that stage. Maybe Archana, definitely. She has very little thoughts because she's doing sadhana every day. And she reads the Bhagavad Gita. The other is, do you struggle with your mind or you don't struggle with your mind? You don't struggle with your thoughts. Dippy, are you raising your hand to ask a question? Okay, good. So it looks like the majority of us in the room have some struggle with with thoughts. Yes, Rehan, are you asking a question? Are you saying something or just raising your hand?
I was raising my hand for.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, because your video is not on. I got it. I want to talk to you something about our overall health, and that health is the health of the body, the health of the mind, our emotional health, and our social health. And it comes to my mind that we don't have any training for this, and I wanted to give you a solution for it, like how to have better overall health. Are you ready for the secret?
yes,
Like,
of course.
have good health. Like one secret. Do you want it? Or is that a good idea to get one secret for good health?
Yes, it is.
Not very convincing. So I don't think you need the secret. Maybe some
Yes, sir, we want the secret.
Okay. I have to force you to say yes. You're not saying yes voluntarily. So I was practicing today in the morning, and then it came to me that the key word is circulation. If we have a life, and then, like Loga said, you want to have freedom from thoughts, I mean, you don't want to be dead. You want to be alive and you want to use your mind, but you want to have freedom from the slavery of the mind, slavery of the thoughts. Then it came to my mind the secret could be circulation. Are you with me? More blood circulation, less thoughts.
Yes, sir. Makes sense.
And then it came to my mind that this holds true for money as well. For those of you who are wealthy, you may see if you agree with this thought. The more you circulate your money, the faster it doubles. In both cases, I'll give you an example. We know that stagnating water collects mosquitoes and all kinds of other bacteria, and there is a tendency to breed illness and disease, stagnant water. The same has been said of our blood, that the more the blood circulates, the more the nutrition circulates, the more the body parts can get the nutrition that it requires, including the brain. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So how do we get the blood to circulate then? By doing work on our mobile phones?
By moving our body.
Moving your body, like your thumb and your few fingers.
No, physical exercise.
So, like walking would be constituted as circulating the blood? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. And doing some yoga asanas
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
and breathing briskly, like breathing strongly, pumps more blood into the lungs or not? Yes or no?
Yes.
Drinking plenty of water? Yeah, because the water has to be eliminated from the body through sweat or urine or something like that, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
What about gardening? Both Suresh and Akhila are out in the garden these days.
Gardening when it is raining really improves circulation. You go running in and out of the house all the time.
I don't know how much balcony gardening does, sir. How that is.
Well, at least you're using your eyes. That also requires blood circulation. It's the same with money, isn't it? If you put the money in the locker, over a period of time, let's say 5 or 10 years, the money that was 100 rupees will become 50 rupees. I think that also requires sorry, say that again. So the money in the locker will slowly depreciate. Yes or no? If you don't circulate the money, if you don't, let's say, put it in a fixed deposit is the wrong word in this context. Let's say you put it in the share market. That's also wrong.
It can disappear.
Yeah, it's the wrong example. But you get the idea that you circulate the money, and the money then has a chance of improving its status. It can beat inflation wherever the money comes from.
So those who want to get their money circulated, they can send it to me.
Hemant, finish your chai and nashta.
Okay.
We'll wait for you to finish it. These Mumbaikars are too much.
Really?
We are multitasking.
So when you do Surya Namaskar, what are you doing? Are you circulating or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you circulating your blood or not? Yes?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So, and then, the world is now currently speaking about activity, get active, get some exercise. The core factor there is get some blood into the brain, get some blood into your legs, get some blood into your heart, get some blood into your legs, because blood carries with it all the
Nutrition.
nutrition and nutrients that we need. Though today, Sundays with Arun, the topic is not about blood circulation or circulation specifically. I thought about what you said about the mind, and I say that if you're active, then the chances are that the blood is circulating well and your brain is functioning well, and your thoughts are generally focused, and you have freedom from unwanted thoughts. And I think that was what Loga was saying in the beginning, that he wants freedom not from all thoughts. And many of you said that already in the room, that it's not from all thoughts that you want freedom, but you want freedom from all the unwanted thoughts every day. And one way could be just become more active. And that activity also includes what Archana suggested, some kind of sadhana, for example.
Sir,
Sadhana could be anything. Yes.
can I speak, sir?
Yes, Venkateshwaran. Please go ahead. Let me just spot.
By chanting Vedic mantras, the way the Ucharanam and all, it also helps you in blood circulation, because I've been experiencing.
Yes.
Because morning when you do puja and when you chant mantras, loudly with correct Ucharanam and all, I think it increases your blood circulation. This is my experience, sir. I wanted to just tell that.
Yes, there is an interesting understanding here. And we can all try, even as we are speaking in the room. The chanting of the mantra or any mantra changes your breathing pattern. Most of my students who have come to my classes and who have attended the yoga retreats or the yoga teacher training courses know about this, because I speak about it in great detail. That when you chant a mantra, and doesn't matter what mantra it is, but it has to be, of course, a mantra, then your breathing pattern changes. And the moment you manipulate your breathing pattern, then the number of thoughts that are passing through our mind reduces. So, for example, you think about this.
जैसिन की भी मदर की डेथ हो गई.
That's not great. You have to you have to mute everybody. Do you know how to mute? Mute all. When you're angry, and you can raise your hand to answer this question. Raise your hand, on Zoom, or you can type your messages on YouTube as well as on Zoom. When you're angry, how do you breathe? How is your breathing pattern when you're angry? It's rapid.
Very fast.
That's right. It's fast, it's rapid. And when you're angry, are the thoughts less, Loga, or thoughts are a lot? When you're angry, are the thoughts less, or the angry? So Archana says a lot. That's right. That when you're angry, your mind is running very fast. It's thinking lots of thoughts, good, all kinds of bad things, and the future and the past and everything else is coming together. And the breathing is fast and shallow. When you're not feeling well, this is another example. When you're not feeling well, how are you breathing? Is the breathing... So just think about it. When you're not feeling well, when your body is aching, How are you breathing? How's your breath? The breath is, well, I wouldn't call it shallow. I would call it something else, Archana. Just think about it. When well, it's non-uniform. Yes, Himanshu, you're right. It is staggered. It is
वो उसमें से हिल गया, मैंने कुछ
yes,
किया
Archana.
टैप करने के लिए और
That's
बोलने के
right.
लिए, तो नहीं बोल नहीं रहा मैं, तो उसमें चाह रहा था कि मैसेज दे।
I call the breath when you're not feeling well, when the body is hurting. I call that breath an irregular breath, a staggered breath. In Hindi, we say sisak sisak ke saans aa rahi hai. Now we come to that important point which Loga made. How can we be free from thoughts? Or just qualifying the question, free from unwanted thoughts. So when you are trying to concentrate, let's say I'm putting a thread into the eye of the needle. I'm putting the thread into the eye of the needle. How is my breath? Let's hear it from you, some of you. You can type it. When I'm putting a thread, of course, in modern times, nobody puts a thread into the eye of the needle. But anyway, you can imagine it. Somebody like Akhila would definitely know what putting a thread into the eye of the needle is. You stop breathing. Vaishali, very good. Yeah. Yeah, it's stable, but it's also very, very light. It's like, very
Yes.
stable. There is no breath. That's right, Loga. It's almost imitating death. We come to the
Like
crux.
calm. Only when you're calm, you can do that. You can't put the
So
thread the needle when you're calm.
So the breath has to, so it's not calm. The breath is almost stopped.
Stop.
That is why you're calm.
Yes.
It's not calm, therefore your breath is calm. No, it's the other way around.
Okay.
You have almost stopped breathing. Now here we come to the magic of yoga, or the magic of human science. That what Venkateshwaran said is right. When we chant the mantras, especially we chant the mantras aloud, and of course in some time we chant the mantras also inaudibly and silently. You listen to this, the mantra, short inhalation, long exhalation. Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. Short inhalation, long exhalation. Now, two things are happening at the same time. You listen to this one more time. Short inhalation. Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. Two things are happening at the same time. One, I'm manipulating my breath. When I manipulate my breath, Loga, after some time, like Venkateshwaran said, let's say we chant for about 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, the experience will be that the breath has become more and more subtle. The breath has become less and less. You're hardly inhaling and hardly exhaling. You have to stop chanting after some time, of course. You have to go to work, or the children have to be dropped to school. But in between, you have 10 minutes and then you chant. And then when you stop, the breath has become very subtle. You have almost stopped breathing. This is the natural consequence of chanting. And when you stop breathing, guess what has happened to the mind? You remember the needle and the thread? What has happened to the mind? The mind has almost stopped. You have less thoughts. Yes, Archana, that's correct. The mind is still. Now, there is a second thing that is also happening, which is very important, what Akhila said. You have diverted your mind with an activity. And that activity, in this case, Venkateshwaran says, is the activity of chanting. In the case of Archana, she'll say, listen to the religious texts or the spiritual texts and follow what the spiritual texts are saying as yama and niyama. In this case, the activity is the activity of chanting. So yes, thank you for raising that point, Venkateshwara. That when we chant, or when we chant for long periods of time, automatically the mind becomes very calm. And it becomes calm because we are changing our breathing pattern. Of course, chanting has many other connotations as well. One of them being that you are invoking the power of your own spirit. You're aligning your vibrations to a universal vibration. All the chakras are getting aligned. At the same time, you're also, through the imagination of the deity that you're chanting, you're also invoking the power and the energy of the deity that you're imagining. So chanting is very powerful at many, many levels, different levels, and it helps to regulate our thinking process. Our thinking becomes pure. It becomes sattvic, as we call it in yoga. So I'm going to pause for a moment and then ask you to share your views. Sundays with Arun is about talking to each other, bringing up many points that we would like to discuss, not just yoga, but about health and about things in general. Yes, absolutely right, Archana. I'm just reading out your observation. At the end of mantra japa, mind is almost still, like everything is happening around you, but you're insulated somehow. You are literally in Sakshi Bhav, you are literally in a mode of being a witness. Udit, do we have something to be looked at on YouTube?
Comments so far, no questions.
Okay. So on Zoom, is there anything that you would like to observe or make a comment about, or you have a question?
Sir, I have one question.
Yes.
Sir, I just had one question, that is it necessary to, so sometimes I felt that to progress in yoga, maybe that progress is not happening because I'm not doing meditation also so is it also necessary to add meditation alongside the yoga practice to progress? Sometimes it has crossed my mind that maybe if I meditate, I'll be able to progress because apparently sometimes that is regular, then again we fall back behind in the progress of yoga. So that is just the question.
Okay. So Anshuman says, should I add one more activity to calming myself down? It's not that we have any less things to do list. Like today's Sunday, and you already have a things to do list for the week. And Anshuman says, can I add one more thing to the list of things to do so that I can be more peaceful? And some of you can relate to this because I've had lengthy conversations about this with you. Like, for example, Suresh, one of the things that Suresh and I have spoken about at length when he was going full steam with work is that you should think about doing less rather than doing more. And if you think of meditation as an activity, then you're adding one more activity to the number of things that you're already doing. It's not that you have 26 hours in a day that you want to add another half an hour of meditation to it. If you're not already meditating, then irrespective of adding half an hour of meditation will not help you get further benefits from your yoga practice. Yoga practice by itself is complete. Pranayama practice is by itself complete. And if no one has done yoga ever before and they just meditate, that also is complete. And if none of these three things are being done, asana practice or pranayama practice or meditation, their life and they are still complete. It's just that the experience of completeness doesn't exist for us. You and I don't experience completeness. That is why we have to engage in any number of activities, hoping that we will get a result. that some of the tools will help us to become better people. Some of the tools can help us to make our minds more calm. But that is the question I had with Archana also, that how do we first cure the mind to do all these activities? Like, how do I get up in the morning to go to a yoga class? How do I sit down in the evening after dinner for meditation? First, I have to cure myself to do all these things, right? It's ironical that we take the New Year resolution on 1st of January, but who's taking that New Year resolution? We will know on 2nd January. On 2nd January, we are clear that the person who took the New Year resolution on 1st January is the same weak-willed person who existed before, and on 2nd January also he is the same person. So, Anshuman, if you say, okay, I will meditate from tomorrow, is it going to happen? Yes or no? The answer is definitely no, because you are not examining this person who has so much hope. Okay, if I do this, then my life will be better. If I do this, my life will be better. Who is this very hopeful person? That we have never studied. That hopeful person we have never studied. Who has these thoughts? I want to meditate. When I'm looking at Anshuman as my student, I'm saying, oh my God, now he wants to meditate also. It's not that his boss is, such a difficult person. It's not that he has an easy life. He is driving 2 hours in Mumbai. It's not that his, company is paying him well, and Mumbai is not his own city also. Now he wants to meditate also. In addition to all this, stuff, then he'll put on Arun's video. Arun is saying, sit there with your eyes closed and your back straight, and back is hurting, and you have not had dinner, Again, so much confusion. It's not leading you anywhere. हजारों सालों से हम लोग एक दूसरे को कंफ्यूज करने में लगे हुए हैं. Just because I got some result by walking doesn't mean you will get the result by walking, you see. Just because both of us got results by meditating doesn't mean the third person will get result with the meditating. We have to understand the circumstances in which human beings are living. We are not like cows and tigers, unfortunately. We are evolved apparently. So human beings have been trying to control each other now and themselves for a long time, because we have lost that instinct, we have lost that intuition on how to live. A cow never eats meat, and a tiger never eats grass. I've spoken about this to many of my students. And of course, they've never been to school and college, and they live long and healthy lives. A tiger doesn't eat grass, you see. A tiger doesn't suddenly wake up in the morning and says, I'm having too much of protein, I must become vegan from tomorrow. And a cow doesn't say, I'm feeling very weak these days and my doctor has advised me to have some protein, so I think I should start eating meat. Only human beings are a little confused. Should I meditate? Should I go for a walk? Should I drink milk? Should I drink water? Is water polluted? Should I boil the water or should I filter it? And Anshuman thinking, sitting there, no, but then tell me what to do. The cow doesn't have this existential crisis, you see. The cow is a cow. It doesn't drink milk. Hello.
I just want to add to that question. Exactly, that's the point, that exactly what to do. For example, just 5 minutes or 10 minutes back, we discussed that you should get more active and blood. So like there were a lot of lists which I had that I should start this fitness class or do some, maybe go for some, outing, or should I, engage myself more. So it becomes very confusing what to do and what not to do. And the list becomes very big. And then ultimately, you're not able to do anything. So that's what the confusion which is there. So that was like precisely the question.
So here is the thing from my point of view, for the room, for everyone who's here. How about getting some rest? How about doing nothing? How about Sundays with Arun? We all come together in the room and we just sit here for 1.5 hours. How about that? What would happen? I mean, just think about it, everyone. Just play the game with me, please. What would happen if we did nothing?
Doze off.
Yes, I mean, of course you'll doze off, and if you've done some work on Sunday afternoon, you'll feel sleepy. I'm not saying that. What if all the world leaders took a nap for 2 hours every day during the middle of the day? How would the world be? That's an easier question to answer, Anshuman. What would happen to the world if all the world leaders spend 2 hours in bed during the day? Took a nap 2 hours. All the world leaders, all the presidents and all the kings and all the prime ministers, everybody, they went to bed in the middle of the day. 12 to 2, they are sleeping. What will happen to the world? Yeah, Archana says the world will improve.
Yeah. Better place to live with.
Yeah, the world would still be the same, says Rahul Khandelwal. I'm just saying, play the game. I don't know. Maybe the world will still be the same. Yeah, maybe we haven't tried that. Himanshu, we shouldn't get so cruel about individual people. Just asking just a general question to have some fun. That what would happen if we all took some rest? Like we have 6 to 7 hours of sleep at night. That also is not very restful. But I'm just saying, what if we slow down, all of us? What would happen? What is the panic all about? Like you go about your daily work, whatever you're doing, but we did less. We kind of did less. You think about the animals. Think about the cow and the tiger that I just spoke about. How many hours of rest do they get every day? The animal rests for 18 to 20 hours in a day. What about the human beings? Human beings are exactly the opposite, Anshuman. We get 4 to 5 hours of rest and 18 hours of activity, 20 hours of activity. We haven't hit bed. Even before that, we start getting up. We are ready for the next day. Not ready for the next day, but we have to get going for the next day. What if we didn't run so much? What if you spent a long weekend? Every weekend was a long weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, maybe the FOMO would get reduced, yes. I mean, you think about it for a moment, that is rest good for you or not? Especially people like us who are in the cities. We live very busy lives. Is being engaged all the time necessary? And Anshuman, you can ask this question to yourself all the time. Do I need to do it at all? What is it that I really need to do to, be in control of some of the small things that I need? I may like, for example, whatever we say, ultimately we need 6 feet of bed, some place to sleep, some food, and a little bit of this and that, not more than that. So the larger the footprint, the more difficult it becomes, the more confusing it becomes, the more difficult the choices. What if we had a smaller footprint? This is a question that I'm asking everyone. As a teacher also, and as who's a mentor, I ask this question: why is it that you want to keep doing everything all the time? And I think we all understand this, that I'm a little older, so I understand this a little more than maybe some people who are half my age, that it seems that we're making progress. What happened in the 1960s and 70s was already antique by the time we got to the 80s and 90s. And all the time we're thinking our life is going to get better. In the early 2000s, there was no video calling except for Skype. And we really wanted video calling. So in the 2010s, the video calling happened. It seems that every time we make progress, it seems to be a great thing. Suddenly we have battery-powered cars. Once this development took place, people were very happy that petrol and diesel will be over and pollution will be over. Is it so? that having battery powered cars or vehicles, is it going to help? Is there going to be less pollution? Superficially, overall, we imagine that, okay, the petrol and diesel will go away and there'll be less pollution. But what about the batteries? The batteries are going to create even more toxic pollution than just petrol and diesel. Every generation of human being thinks that we are creating some solution for problems. And Einstein said, the problems that we have in our life cannot be resolved at the level at which we created them. So, Anshuman, it's not as if life is getting easier because we have now one mobile phone and then two mobile phones and 100 devices, and we're talking on Zoom and we're talking across cities. It was just as complicated writing letters. I wrote a letter to Anshuman. Anshuman replied after a week. I got it after 2 weeks. ऐसा लगता है कि वो क्वेश्चन का गर्मी खत्म हो गया है, अभी इमीडिएटली सवाल का जवाब चाहिए. But it is not helping, you see. The instant gratification is also not helping. We're still as confused today as my dad's generation or my granddad's generation, which means the problem is not in the technology, and the solution also doesn't lie there.
Point of doing less or doing nothing. Someone on YouTube says, I think we would be afraid of the void.
Yes, this is a very important point, that if you did nothing, then you have this fear, there is this fear of the void. It's an unknown entity, like doing nothing is an unknown entity. But to be very practical, we have done nothing many times in our life if we have fallen sick, like really sick. If you and I have been to hospital, I was in hospital for 11 days during COVID, and I literally had to do nothing. There's nothing I could do. The doctors had to do something, they had to put some injections and some drips, and somebody would come and feed me and stuff like that. But I literally did nothing for 11 days. And many of us, not many of us, everyone in the world went through a period of about 15 to 20 months where we could really not do much. We were all confined to, our own homes, our own rooms, and we were not able to do much. Of course, we found ways of doing things even then. Like we tried to keep ourselves busy, but that void is frightening. What does it mean to do nothing? I was speaking to one of my students. She's a dentist today in the morning. She said, I want to meditate, but I can't. I said, you have to be less busy to be meditating. Meditation is a state. Meditation is what you acquire. Correct me if I'm wrong. Meditation is a place which you reach because of a certain kind of life that you're leading. You have a certain kind of diet, a certain kind of sleep, a certain kind of company that you keep, certain kind of spiritual practices, and then you sit in meditation and you meditate. You can't be a dentist working in a hospital, then working in a clinic, and then having private consultations. You're having 3 different jobs. A doctor's job is like 3 times any other job. You're working all the time. It's like a school teacher's job. 3 different kinds of jobs. And then you have children and family. I said you have to finish your grahastha ashram first before you can start thinking of meditation. Now you get it, Anshuman? That how can this doctor suddenly say, okay, I want to sit quietly with my eyes closed? She has to think of her children. She has to think of her family. She has to think of her in-laws, her parents, everybody else. And then, of course, she has this huge practice of patients. All their teeth are hurting, She can't sit with her eyes closed. Her teeth will start hurting, thinking about the patient's teeth. You have to reduce that activity, isn't it? I told her, you quit your job and run away from your family, and then you can start meditating. Is that as hopeless as that? No, I don't mean it that way. I'm meaning it as a context, a point of view. That when your life is so busy, how can you expect to meditate? So then finally, everybody wants an answer that they want to hear. So I told her, why didn't you do one thing? Every hour, you sit peacefully for 5 minutes. So 55 minutes busy and 5 minutes you just sit.
Wendy on YouTube says society makes us feel guilty if we do nothing. There is fear of appearing lazy.
So Wendy says that society makes you feel guilty if you do nothing. There's a fear of being labeled as lazy. So what if you're lazy? You know, an elephant looks like an elephant, whether the elephant is busy or not. A monkey looks like a monkey and behaves like a monkey, whether the monkey is busy or not. Why are human beings scared of being busy or not busy? A human being will still look like a human being if you're busy or not busy. So what if you're labeled busy or labeled lazy? It has no meaning to you, isn't it? How does it matter? I told my doctor student, sit quietly for 5 minutes. Don't do anything. And do this throughout your waking time. Like, you are 12 hours in the hospital, 3 hours in the clinic. Every 55 minutes, you stop. And then for 5 minutes, you do nothing. And I told her to come back to me after 10 days. What is this group's prediction? What do you feel is going to happen with my dentist student? What do you feel? I've told her to sit 5 minutes quietly every waking hour. So Anshuman, what do you think will happen?
She could not have sat for 5 minutes.
Yeah, we don't know what. No, you have to say in the future what will happen, not what has happened.
What is okay in the future?
Yeah, can you predict? Can you be an astrologer? What do you think?
No.
Well, it's a good technology to have. Sit quietly for 5 minutes, doing nothing. Is that not so? That won't you feel, you will start feeling a little good about things. Your mind will clear a little bit. But then, like Archana mentioned right in the beginning, it has to become a sadhana. Sadhana means a repetitive practice. For all of us in the room, it's very important to know that having a routine, having a set of habits, sadhana, the root word is repetitive. A repetitive set of activities, spiritual activities, will help you to access your own self better. Whether it is the body, whether it is the mind, whether it is the spirit, whether it's your emotions. If you can settle yourself down for some time, then you and I have that inherent intelligence to take the right decisions and also to be more productive, to be more effective, to find the right path. I tell my students, for example, yoga is not the way. Yoga is not the way. Yoga shows the way. You and I have to see the way, you see. You and I have to access the power that we already have. And that can only happen if we shed what we don't need. The less we have, the more sharp we become. So I'm just reading out what Archana has observed. There are many layers to this, but what I've experienced is this. The force of our samskaras will always keep pulling one towards their established patterns. One has to sit calmly and make a decision with correct knowledge once and for all about the direction that they want to take their life and what sadhana that is going to take. Once decided, one needs to stick to it, come what may, otherwise there is no sync between words and actions, and we'll fool ourselves endlessly. And for me, always, Archana, the question is, who's saying this? First of all, we have to study the studier, study the preacher, study the person repeating the words, the person who's reading the scriptures. I want to know about that person, because that person is only preaching. The person is not practicing. For us to be normal, we need to be normal. For our minds to be normal, and that is what we started this discussion with, we have to know what a normal mind is. What is the normal mind? What is normal? Why do we need to do yoga? Why do we need to meditate? Why do we need to go to work? What is normal? Are activities normal or are we normal? Are the scriptures part of us being normal or are scriptures guiding us how to be normal? That's the question. So coming back to Anshuman, your question about meditation, yoga by itself is complete. Yoga means asana and pranayama by itself is complete. You don't need to do anything more. You're already meditating. You don't have to have another set of activities. It's already fully organized. It has breathing, it has relaxation, it has exercise, everything that you need to meditate. For an hour, you are with yourself for 1 hour. That's the medicine. The meditation is already there. If you're chanting, then that is good enough. If you're meditating per se, sitting down in the practice of meditation, that itself is good. Now, in the sitting practice of meditation, also you're doing all the three things. You're doing an asana practice because you're sitting in Sukhasana or Ardha Padmasana or Padmasana with your back straight. That's an asana. You're also calming down the mind and you're also focusing on your breath, which is pranayama, and that both these things to put together, you will enter a state of meditation or pratyahara at least, if not concentration and meditation. Any other observation or comment? Anything that you would like to say? Any questions?
I would like to share my own personal experience as far as meditation is concerned, my journey. Earlier, for me, meditation used to be a lot of effort. I mean, for me, like it used to be, I have to meditate. Now, for me, it comes far more effortlessly. I mean, I find those rare moments happening more and more again in my life where me and my mind are both at the same time at the same point and we are sort of aware of each other, you know. So I, so, but I still need to, I mean, there is lot going on in my life, but this practice of being me with my thoughts has really helped me gain a lot of, what do you say? I mean, a sense of calm in the midst of all this which is happening. So it has helped me a lot.
Thank you for sharing, Suresh. One of the things that is difficult for us for especially mentors and coaches to understand, or if I was to say in yogic language, gurus to understand and then share, is that you have to go through a certain transformative experience in your life to understand meditation and yoga. One of my friends says that people don't come to yoga unless they are really desperate. Maybe he's right. Many people don't come to spirituality just because it helps them to be better versions of themselves. They come when they're desperate. Suresh was keeping very poor health when he and I met. And he was ready. I tell my students that when you're in pain and when you're really unwell, and I don't wish pain or unwellness, I don't wish that. But I tell them that it's a good time for you. It's a very good spiritual time for you because you are willing to be coached. You're willing to change. You're willing to transform your life. You welcome the knowledge. You welcome the practices. You welcome discipline. When you're not well, what do? You start praying, yes or no? At least your family starts praying, if not you. When you're desperate, what do? Your ego slowly starts to disappear. It's a very good time. When health and wealth are compromised, you suddenly become ego less. And when ego is less, the I-ness is less, you come in contact with your real self. That time, you like meditation, you like yoga, you like discipline, You like eating the right food. When you're not well, what do you say? I will give up salt. I will give up sugar. God, just make me well again. I will never tell any lies in my life anymore. Hmm? And then Sunday is gone, Monday is gone, Tuesday you're all well. And what happened to all the promises you made to God? It's all gone out of the window. I don't want us to be permanently unwell, but being unwell is a very good time for us to start practicing something that will connect ourselves with ourselves. That's what happened with Suresh. He was as far away from yoga as the sun is from the moon, and then he got unwell. And then he discovered yoga and he discovered meditation. And I don't say it in a negative way or something like that, but it really helped him to become stable. It helped him to become more acutely aware of what is important and what is not important. And he shed many of those things immediately. It was wonderful to see Suresh converting from being, let us say, a doer. He is also in Mumbai. His life is about being busy. There's no time for any nonsense. Dhanda karna hai. And then there was the spiritual awakening one day, and he decided to slow down and be more in touch with himself. And now, as he's speaking in the room today, maybe he has some miles to go, but he's really changed as a human being, as a person. He's more in touch with himself. And even though the troubles are going on around him, the trouble has not gone away, but he has become, as Archana mentions, an observer, a witness. He is in a state of, well, I should say semi-contentment, even though the trouble is still all around him. So thank you for sharing that, Suresh, that meditation is really helping. I would say that the trouble has helped you to meditate. That's what, and I wish that none of us get to trouble. We just start doing the spiritual practices, whatever we helps us to connect with ourselves, whether it is yoga or running or any forms of physical training or mantra chanting, or going to the temple or the church or the gurdwara and so on and so forth, whatever connects us to our own self. Even it could be just 1 hour of asana practice. I don't know. That could also be good enough. Or just listening to this conversation and making up your mind that what is important for me is these 1, 2, and 3 things, not the 700 things that I have in my life. Yes.
So Smita on YouTube is asking if you could tell us about your career journey and how you found yoga as your calling.
So thank you for asking that question, Smita. It connects me with my previous comment. I was not feeling well. I was 29 years old and I had severe back pain. And my doctors told me not to stand up, not to sit down, not to lie down, not to karvat bhi nahi badalna bed pe, and definitely don't go up the stairs and don't go down the stairs. Don't sit, don't walk, don't lift up any books or any heavy objects. So I ran away from the doctors because it was very frightening to hear all this at the age of 29. And then yoga found me, or I found yoga. It was only because of back pain. And today, when people talk to me about back pain, I find it amusing because it's not a big problem. It was a very big problem for me. And the people who have back pain, it is a big problem for them. But looking back over the years, it was just a nimit. It was an invitation. I was struggling with back pain. I was also not very much socially and personally adjusted to life. If you found me anywhere in a lift or on the road, you wouldn't want to be my friend. I was so gloomy. I didn't want to be friends with myself also. But once yoga found me in 3 or 4 months' time, it was October of 1992. By January, the transformation had already occurred. I had already changed. I had already crossed from one bank of the river to the other bank. I had found my peace. I had found my calling. I had found some meaning and some purpose in my life. I suddenly realized, full stop. I suddenly realized. कुछ बोध हो गया. And it happened on the yoga mat. It didn't happen because of the yoga mat. It didn't happen because of my doing yoga. It happened on the mat. It did not happen because of Shirshasana or Kapalabhati or mantra chanting. It did not happen because I opened the chapters of Bhagavad Gita or the Bible. I suddenly realized who I am and who I can be and what I should do. And this is not anything profound. Every one of us, each one of us who's in the podcast today, each one of us has had that experience. The only thing is we are not listening to that experience. That's all. Many of us are also. I shouldn't be, presumptuous to say that you don't know this. Maybe you already know this. That we get this experience maybe many times in a day. We know who we are. We know what we want to do. We know what we want to have. We know who we want to be. We already have that experience. Maybe not many times in a day, but maybe sometime, maybe once a month or once a week, we have that experience. Definitely, if you practice yoga, you will have that mental and physical space in between the asanas when there is shavasana going on, or immediately after you wake up from the yoga class and sit for the final prayer. You have that realization. I am who I am. That experience of Aham Brahmasmi. It happens all the time with us. We don't have to have a practice. We don't have to have any teachings. We are our own guru in that sense. And that happened to me way back in 1992, 1993. And I realized how wonderful it is to go to a yoga class and be with myself. What is these days referred to as me time. That's the common parlance, me time. Women say that a lot of times to me, that this is my me time. And that is right, because there are so many activities that we are engaged in that for 1 hour, if you can practice yoga with a teacher and in a group, you get that great sense of being with yourself. This happened during that time, and then I realized that such a precious something so precious I have come across, I should not lose it. It's like a diamond, it's like a jewel, it's like some piece of gold that I found. So in 1995, I decided to become a teacher. I went to the ashram in Trivandrum, the Shivananda ashram in Trivandrum, and I certified to become a yoga teacher. And for many years, till 2004, so 1992 to 2004, one Gurukula, 12 years, I taught and practiced at the Shivananda Center in Delhi before we set up the Shivananda Center in Gurgaon in 2004. And that was my early part of the yoga journey. Every day I practice yoga, every week I practice yoga, every month I practice yoga. I became a better and better version of myself. I was 29 years old, but I felt I was 62 years old. That's how I felt. I really felt old and jaded and unhappy and full of opinions, extremely heavy. You wouldn't want to be my friend in those days at the age of 29. Now that I'm 62, I feel 29. Yoga has turned me around from inside out. My skin is the last place where you can see me from inside. I was 29 years old. I looked 60 at that time. Of course, my hair is now gray, so of course I look 60. But nothing about me, my life is about being 60. It's about being 29. And many of you who know me that I'm going at full speed. I am a youngster, not at heart, but in everything that I do. So that's briefly my, Smita, my yoga journey. There is, of course, much more to it. I did not practice yoga like a religion. I did not practice yoga like some obsession. I did not practice yoga because I would get physically fit. It was not one of those things. I played cricket, I went running, I had other forms of physical fitness. I also learned karate when I was 20 years old. So I wasn't lacking in an understanding of playing group sports, individual sports, running, so on and so forth. Yoga gave me a completely different experience. And that experience was to be in touch with myself. That experience was of me being in charge, so to speak. Okay, don't get me wrong here. We can start debating this, but it gave me a sense that I am in control of my destiny and not my circumstances. This is a wider discussion. Maybe the next Sunday we can speak about this. Being in control of your destiny. Well, what is the right way to inspire other people who are suffering from physical issues? Learn some martial arts and use the art of the empty hand, for example, karate or something. How to inspire others? Give them a few tight ones. Just leave them. Let them do whatever they want. Let them commit their own crimes. All of us are intellectually realizing what is good and bad for us. So many people have been invited to Sundays with Arun, but only a few have taken the step to come here today. So this is the choice that we all have as human beings. We have a chance to be normal, chance to remove insanity. One of the ways, Archana, to really inspire other people is not to be intellectual yourself. To have that experience of crossing the bank from this bank to the other bank. नदी के इस तट से उस तट तक अगर आपने पार किया है तो दूसरे भी आपके साथ पार करेंगे या करना चाहेंगे और आपसे पूछेंगे कि कैसे करना है और मिल करके वो चलेंगे नदी पार करने. They will come with you. We have taught more than 500,000 people yoga in Gurgaon or yoga from Gurgaon. 500,000 people. It started with me becoming a yoga teacher in 1995. It's 30 years ago. A lot of people have done yoga with us. And the reason for that is that they have been inspired by, I won't say it will be egoistic to say my action, but the actions of all the people who have been involved in the teaching and practice of yoga at the yoga center. Kabhi na kabhi to wo hoga hi hoga. There are only two kinds of people in the world. One who are practicing yoga and the other who are going to. There are only two types of people. Yeah, we can.
Vishali has a question.
Vaishali has a question. How can I help my child who's going to start formal school next year to get the qualities of yoga, mind, thoughts, life in general, Vedantic way of living? Don't send him to school. That's the right answer. Immediately delete all thoughts of school from Vedant's life. नाम वेदांत लगाया है, अब वेदांत कुछ करके दिखाओ. है नीलांश? School मत भेजो. Please don't send your child to school. This is not my own thinking, by the way, but it is my own personal thinking as well. My own very personal thinking is that unless school is a place where your child can thrive as far as imagination and wonder is concerned, you are trapping the child in the same trap that you and I have been in since childhood. It's a very dangerous trap, and it's a tragic trap. One of my students, she did a teacher training course with me recently. Her younger daughter is, I think, 6 or 7 years old, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. She calls school 6 cruel hours of a human being's life. And I don't, well, there might be a controversy about this, and many people might feel that, okay, school is very good, and, there might be educators in the room here. I don't mean to confront anybody's thoughts. This is my own personal view that going to school and getting an education are two different things. Going to school and getting an education are two different things. We should not mix up the two things. Going to a job and getting money are two different things. Going to a job and getting a salary are two different things. Going to a job and making money are two different things. We should not mix two things. Having work and making money are two different things. Somehow in our minds, many things have got collapsed. Going to a yoga class and experiencing freedom are two different things. Going to a yoga class and becoming free like Buddha and whoever we want to say, enlightenment will not happen. But going to a class may facilitate that. So that is the direct answer, Vaishali, to your question. What is more important is what can you do in a practical sense? In a practical sense, you will have to go to school, send him to school. He will become the teenager that you have been yourself and Nilansh has been. There'll be a lot of rebellion because of school and all the education that they're receiving. And eventually you will make him a doctor or an engineer. And then eventually they'll come to a yoga class at the age of 30.
And then they will have a
35.
back pain.
That's right. At the age of 30 or 35, they'll come to a yoga class and they will meet Arun all over again. This cycle will repeat itself, however tragic it sounds. The better thing would be, there is an old wonderful English saying, the children of the same family don't grow up, no, children of a family don't grow up under the same roof. What that means is that you can, this is, of course, I'm misinterpreting the quotation. I'm just saying that you can make Vedant have different education that he gets from school. That is one kind of education. But apart from that, you can educate him and train him in many different ways, which makes school education redundant. वो तो करना ही है आपको, तो आप कराइए उनको, स्कूल भेजिए उनको. बट उसके अलावा you can give him, and Nilansh can give him, and the family can give him the kind of training that you would like. Make him study music or dance or yoga or meditation, or give him the scriptures. Let him learn Sanskrit. Let him learn the wonder of growing up with animals. Teach him how to make money. Teach him how to look after people or care for people, care for other human beings. Like teach him from a young age how not to think about himself, but to think about the world, about caring for others. This is the education that we all need, not trigonometry, not Pythagoras theorem, not Shah Jahan's wife, not H2SO4. These are not the kind of educations that we need. We need, where is my heart? Where is my kidney? Where is my liver? How does my brain function? What is the kind of food that we should eat? वो आप training दो फिर घर पे. This is an education that we can all have, but we are not formalizing it. I know that in the room there are many of my students they and I have had this discussion many times before, how to have this education. It's not enough to know what is first aid, for example. In one class in school in 12 years, I learned first aid. That's not enough. We should know really how to, take first aid and give first aid, how to give blood. What does it mean? What is Ayurveda? What is yoga? What is, naturopathy? What is a natural way of living? These are the kind of, questions that we must answer for Vedant. Is only very small, but in the next 4 or 5 years, you as a family, you can come to a decision. Many parents today are doing this. They're putting children in an alternative form of education, which is different from the formal education that you and I have received. Any last thoughts or discussions?
2 questions. One is already partially answered. One is from Hemant.
Yes. So, Hemant, there is nothing I can do about the monotony that you face, and yoga cannot help you either. The monotony is there in anything that we do and anything that we are in, including marriage. You have to find a way out of it. You are the problem, not the yoga. We can't change yoga for you, and we can't change your spouse for you. Please understand. Hemant is funny. Hemant, thank you for asking the question. Life is monotonous and boring. I won't give you the answer that you're looking for. I won't change my yoga practice. The structure I won't change for you. I will not make, like, for example, what's your opinion about beer yoga? I don't have an opinion about it. Huh, Hemant? Just pulling your leg. But yeah, you have to come to the class whether it's boring or not. It's not because it's boring or not, but because there is no way around it. Yoga is non-negotiable. So about money, wealth, and all, we'll have a conversation the next time around. Okay, any last observation or comment on Zoom, please? Anyone? We have about 3 minutes to go. I'd like you to leave fulfilled. It's a freewheeling conversation. That's what I promised. Okay, any last observations on YouTube? Being in control of our destiny, huh, Nidhi, next time around. Yeah, thank you, Rajiv. So before we end, I just want to say that we are resuming Sundays with Arun after a very no problem, Tan, a long break, maybe 7-8 months, and I'd like to keep the conversation going. If you feel that we've had a good conversation, then please send me a message separately. I'd like the forum to grow, but it's only my wish. I want to know if this is the wish of everyone else in the room, and if it is so, then we'll have more profound conversations, something that is more meaningful and strong. And I'll label it as well. I'll give it a topic every time so that we are focused in our discussion as well. Even though it's freewheeling, but we will have a more focused discussion. Is that okay? Please message me after the room is closed. So let's have the final prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Bolo Sadguru Maharaj ki Jai. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you for your presence today in the podcast Sundays with Arun, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Enjoyed the session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
रुक जाओ आप लोग, मैं आ रही
So I have to end.
YouTube.
Huh?